Welcome back and welcome to 2026. I won't be setting resolutions this year. Instead, I'm reframing my entire identity. Let's hop in. First of all, I am not in my home environment, as you can see. I am here visiting family from out of town, although this is home because this is where I'm from. So I'm excited to be here visiting family, overcoming a little bit of a cold, and ready to jump into the new year. So, what am I doing? What's different? What do I mean by not setting resolutions? I'm not setting goals. Because the thing is, goals, like demarcation, a SMART goal with a point that you're supposed to get to, are pointless if you don't have the right systems in place to reach those goals. And I decided that this year, instead of setting a goal of losing a certain amount of weight or writing a certain amount of pages on my manuscripts or whatever it is, that I would implement some of the things that I learned and some of the reading that I did last year, like in Atomic Habits, which I reread for the third time. And hey, maybe it'll even sink in this time. One of the things that James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, writes about is about not setting a goal like to complete a marathon, because then if you set that goal to complete the marathon and then you do it, what happens when the marathon is over? Do you stop running? Well, no, of course not. That wouldn't be a very good goal now, would it? So instead, set the system to become a runner. Set the foundation, the habit to go out and run and practice that. Instead, what we want to do is set the foundation to become a runner. Stretch that muscle every single day or with whatever frequency that you decide for yourself. Build the habit of putting on your running shoes, putting on your running shorts, and going outside or getting on your treadmill and running and become a runner. And if you do that, the marathon is kind of a natural progression from becoming a runner, because runners like to run marathons, right? So instead of telling myself, complete a manuscript, write a novel, what I really want to do is set the goal to be a writer. Stretch that muscle and go out to my shed, which is my workspace, my detached office, and write every single day as part of my routine. So this year I'm focusing on building systems, focusing on building routines, and not focusing on end destination goals. Okay, so how am I doing that? What are the steps to how I am doing this? How am I setting up these routines? Well, the first thing I'm doing is I'm doing an identity audit. It's basically like a data audit, but of myself, and what worked in 2025 and what didn't. So some of the things that worked for me personally, days with my homeschool co-op and my friends were grounding and really good for my kids and for our family. Whenever I chose to actually go out to my shed, my detached office, go heads down as it were, I got a lot done. I was very productive those days. But there were a lot of days that I didn't actually make it out there. So I'm trying to incorporate more dedicated time to be in my space where I feel best working. Another thing that worked for us was the family connection time that we really prioritize. That has grown more and more with each year, and we really focus on having one-on-one time with each kid and allowing the kids to develop different connections with each other, and then whole family time with board game nights, movie nights, outings, trips. We're very family focused, so I feel like that works really well for us, and I want to continue that into 2026. But there were some things that didn't work out. Some of the things that didn't work out were my lack of structure, to be completely honest. I have always struggled with keeping things very structured. And part of that is because of my ADHD brain wants to chase the shiny object that drips by. And that doesn't really work for me. I need to time block. I need to time manage. And if there are things that are really important to me, I need to get those things done first. I should have muted that, sorry. I want to do those things first in my day. So in order to make sure that I actually do those things going into 2026, I am going to use a bunch of different tools that I've used here and there throughout the years, but I'm really going to incorporate them into my next year, into this next year of my life. I'm going to put those things together to create those systems. And I'll get to them later, what those tools actually are, because they're pretty awesome. Another thing that didn't work was my belief in not needing to budget, like at all. Like no structure at all. I can just spend when I want because I believe in abundance mindset, and I'm so abundant that I don't look at price tags. Well, that doesn't actually work. We can still be abundant and smart at the same time. I have realized this. So in October, we started using YNAB. You Need a Budget, YNAB. It's a budgeting tool that my husband and I decided to start using and having regular budgeting meetings, and he actually checks in on it every single morning. Not my jams, but it's really nice to have a division of labor within a marriage. But we started using it and we did really well October and November. December came, we had multiple birthdays, holidays, all that, and we kind of threw it out the window. But here, January 1st, we are going to be back into the groove of things. And it's really nice because we can budget each month to save up for things like Christmas in December. And we don't have to blow it all at one time. So that is something that both didn't work for me for most of the year and then did start to make sense during the last quarter. And I'm really excited to bring that into 2026 going forward and bringing budgeting in as just part of our daily lives. And it actually helps us with our marriage. And I could totally make a whole video about that, how we use visioning in our budget planning and how it has connected us better as a couple and to our vision in the future, what we want for our future. I always thought that budgeting with my husband as a very independent person would feel very constraining, and it actually is the opposite. So if you want me to make a video about how budgeting has brought us closer together, then absolutely send me a comment below and I would be happy to do it. The third thing that didn't work for me in 2026 kind of goes along to the whole not having a structure thing, but was not feeling as structured with my homeschooling with my kids. There's a few things that I really wanted to do more of every week as kind of more routine occurrence, and I just never really was able to prioritize it that way. And this year, I would like to, again, bring in the time blocking with the tools that I talked about earlier and just help us all get along better, because when we time manage and when expectations are very clear and routines are very clear, then we all get along better and it's just better for everyone. So that was my data audit for 2025. And I really encourage you to go ahead and do a data audit for yourself, because this is how you can really set those systems in place for 2026 to make your year the best year it can be. The next thing is I take a baseline of the numbers, not to shame myself, not to feel bad in any way, but just to know where I am. So yesterday on December 31st, I woke up very early in the morning and I went and had a DEXA scan done at like 7 o'clock in the morning, just down the road from my parents' house. And a DEXA scan is an x-ray of your entire body, and it shows your lean mass, your muscle mass, your fat, body fat percentage, visceral fat, all of these different markers that help you to understand really how healthy are you. And from that, you can get kind of an idea of your RMR, your resting metabolic rate. And then you can kind of understand what it is that you need to be doing, or at least the amount of calories you need to be eating in a day or cutting in a day to reach your goals. So some people may actually want to build muscle and don't need to lose fat. I have a lot of muscle and really great bone density, so I'm just working on cutting extra fat. And so getting this DEXA scan is a really great way to get started in the new year. I'm planning to go ahead and get another one in 3 to 6 months and just see as I progress throughout the year. I was worried about radiation. I'm very, very concerned with health, but it's equivalent to eating about 8 bananas. I felt like it was very low and it was worth it to go ahead and have these numbers. It's really, really important that I get my health on track. I have a lot of health conditions that I need to heal, and a big part of that is lowering my body fat percentage. And so that is a big focus for me this year. So another number that I have to look at is the YNAB. You need a budget. We need to look at what we did in December, because in October and November, we were doing great. We were checking it very, very regularly. And December, we kind of, as I said, threw it out the window because holidays, birthdays, and all that. So my husband and I will be sitting down later today to look that over and then plan for the coming year. And we allot everything from homeschool expenses, activities for the kids, groceries, eating out, travel. In the travel category, we'll even put what specific vacation we're taking and how much we need for that vacation, and so on and so forth. Taking that budget audit and going ahead and looking at those baseline numbers, where are we at, and no judgment, no shame, it's where we are, and we will move forward. So that is step number 2. And then a third thing that I want to really look into is how much did I actually get done with my writing last year. A goal for my 2025 was to write more. I wanted to complete a manuscript I had just started in December. And not only did I not complete it, I kind of put it to the side for 6 or 7 months because I was having writer's block and a lot of things were going on in my life. And I honestly just wasn't prioritizing. I wasn't time blocking. I wasn't prioritizing that time for myself. And I think it kind of messed with my emotional state also because I wasn't getting to the things that needed to be done for myself. And it's not just my writing, it's other things that I was working on. But that's a really good litmus test for me because I can go into Scrivener, which is the writing software that I use, and I can see exactly how many words I wrote, how many pages I wrote. What do I do once I have all of these numbers? How do I really put these systems into place? There's a lot of ways to do it, but as I said, I'm taking kind of an Atomic Habits, James Clear sort of approach to my goals. I am saying I am a writer rather than I will finish my manuscript by such and such date. And then I like to break it down in with more granularity. And in that way, I like to employ the ideas from 12-Week Year, which is a book that was written by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington, I'm sorry. They wrote the book 12-Week Year quite a while ago. I've known about it for a few years. And I've kind of thought about using the system multiple different times, and then I haven't been great about implementing it at the beginning of a quarter. But anyway, this year I'm going to do it. I have what's called the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt, and I absolutely adore it. And I wanted to find it for this video, but I haven't unpacked all of my stuff. We literally just got here for this trip, December 30th. Son's birthday was yesterday. We're kind of still in that chaotic rush, but I really wanted to make this video. So I don't have my Full Focus Planner with me. It's a quarterly planner, which works really well with the 12-Week Year format. So this is another one of the tools in my tool belt, is the idea of the 12-Week Year planning. So I'm breaking up the year into 4 12-week segments. So basically quarters. And in these quarters, I am kind of tackling a year's goals in those 12 weeks. It's like goals, but really more like identity shifts, right? Because of that Atomic Habits approach. So what I will be doing for my first 12 weeks is I write every day. I will establish a habit of writing, of making my goal be going out to my shed and getting to work. One of the things that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits is that the habit that you're building isn't the exercise that you're doing or the workout, the actual act of like bicep curls. No, the habit that you are building is going to the gym. So in my first 12 weeks, it's going to be going to my shed every single day and being there for a certain amount of time. This planner is awesome. I set a big 3 for each day. Those are the 3 items that I need to complete in the day in order to feel like I've accomplished something. I do a big 3 for each week, and I do a quarterly check-in and a weekly check-in on my goals, my routines that I'm establishing. So that is another one of the tools in my tool belt that I'm using. And I can go ahead and link below all of these different books, and we can really get cracking on that. So that is one way that I am implementing these numbers that I have. Okay, so I wrote this many pages, so I'm going to set this goal to now spend a dedicated amount of time every day to write a certain amount of pages. And other things like I am going to go to the gym 5 days a week. We have a gym in our home, and I'm going to make it to the gym 5 days a week. When the weather is great, I want to go on a walk every single day. When it's not, I'll use my treadmill. So those are some of the ideas of how we put this into practice. I just want to go over really quickly some of the other tools that I'm using to manage my time, because that is so important when I'm trying to reset my systems and I'm trying to restructure my life essentially. So number one, as a homeschooling mom, that I am going to use to help us get organized with our systems in our homeschool, and that is the hearth display. We got our hearth display in, I believe it was November. We've had a skylight for about 1.5 years or so, and it was working well. I liked it okay. The screen was small, the interface was kind of wonky. You'd have to like hit it a few times to get it to really respond. And there were a few things with the integration that I didn't love, but we were using it okay. And I didn't have any plans to replace it or change it. And I didn't even know what the other options were, to be completely honest. But one of my cats jumped up on the counter, knocked the whole thing down, it clattered and broke everywhere, and we no longer had a skylight display. So as I was shopping to get another skylight to replace it and considering like skylight versus skylight max, which is the bigger one, I came across the hearth display. And the hearth is like, I believe it's the same size as the skylight max. It is a 27-inch vertical orientation display, and you can have it with like a wooden looking frame. It just looks so sleek and smooth. It integrates really well with our Google calendars. It's great for tracking chores, routines. You can set rewards, and you can set them up to be as granular as you would like them to be. They can get a certain number of stars and get an ice cream, or they can get money, or they can go and have a special day with mom and dad, things like that. My kids can go in there and under groceries, and they can add things that they want, and I can view it from my app on the phone when I'm at the grocery store. And I can decide while I'm there, do I really need to get my daughter mochi? But it is probably important to get toothpaste for my son, you know? And so it's really a great system. And I could also make a whole video about that. So if you're interested, again, let me know. We are really loving our hearth display. And again, we've only had it for about a month, but we do prefer it over the skylight so far. Okay, so tool number 2, which is probably actually number 1, but I already mentioned it earlier, and that is my Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt. It's a quarterly planner, so you need 4 for the entire year. I don't have it with me, but they're about like this size, hardcover. They have a really nice linen cover, different colors to choose from, and it's probably like twice the width of this. And as I said, you set quarterly goals, weekly check-ins, and then daily goals. So you have your big 3, and then you have a list of other things that you could complete during that day. And then you have an entire extra page, the other side of the sheet each day, just for notes. And that is so good for my brain, because as someone with ADHD, things kind of pop into my brain willy-nilly sometimes, and sometimes I have my phone on me, sometimes I don't. I am perpetually losing my phone. I think the question of, has anyone seen my phone, is one of the most common things that I ask my family. Sometimes I have my planner on me, sometimes I have my phone on me, sometimes I have a little notebook, but I really like to have a place that I can write notes down on as I go throughout the day and like things pop into my head. Okay, tool number 3, YNAB. You need a budget. I've already mentioned this earlier, YNAB, and I just want to be clear, I'm not being paid by anyone. I just love it. So this is the tool that we're using to track our budgeting, our expenses, breaking things down into little categories. There's a lot of functionality there, so we highly, highly recommend that. All right, so tool number 4, Asana. Asana is a project management software that a lot of times is utilized by small businesses, but we actually use it to organize our home. It's a really great way to communicate what projects need to be done around the house and within the family without feeling naggy with one another. My husband and I understand that we both have different roles within the family and within our marriage, but sometimes it still feels naggy when I say, hey, have you fixed my cold plunge yet? But I put it on the Asana, and he respects the Asana, and he may add something on there for me, like meal planning or something that we already have decided. It's not like I'm trying to force him to do something or he's trying to force me to do something, but these are roles we already have decided. And he'll put something on there and I'll put something on there. And it's a really great way for us to communicate things that need to be done without it being really pushy and forceful. So we really love that. And it's also great for when I want to organize my content creation, or when I want to organize what I'm working on with a certain other project, or even homeschooling. I use Asana for that. So that I even have project workspaces in there that I don't share with my husband, that are just mine. Along with Asana, I actually also use Notion. There are a lot of people who choose just Notion or just Asana, but I like Notion because it's just kind of free form and it really works well for my brain. So it's kind of like brain dump area. And that's where I put ideas that I have for videos that I haven't fleshed out, or ideas that I have for stories if I haven't put it into Scrivener, and kind of I just dump it into Notion. And then Asana is a more structured version. And okay. So I guess that brings me to Scrivener, which I think is tool number 6 at this point. Scrivener is the software that I use for my writing. It helps you to completely organize the book, break it down by acts and scenes and notes and the complete manuscript, chapters. You can move a scene from one chapter to another chapter with full integration. It's really, really great. I am loving Scrivener. I've used it for a while, so I will be continuing to use that to keep track of my writing. The last tool that I want to mention, and I have mentioned throughout this video multiple times, and it's kind of a twofold, right? The two books that I've been mentioning throughout this video, and that is The 12-Week Year by Michael Lennington and Brian Moran, and also Atomic Habits by James Clear. I also just ordered the Atomic Habits workbook by James Clear, and I'm hoping to use that throughout the year. I looked through it. I actually ordered one for my son for Christmas. I pre-ordered it and it came out this December, last December, whatever, December 8th or 9th it showed up, and I got it for my son for Christmas. I looked through it and I thought it was so great that I decided to order one for myself. So that will be waiting for me when I get home. So yeah, those are my 7 tools and my whole system for doing a complete system reset, resetting my life, resetting my identity, and really trying to get the ball rolling on making the changes that I've wanted to make for so many years. I hope you guys have a great 2026 and have fun with your visioning and your goal setting. And if you set resolutions, that's totally okay. I hope you have fun doing that. And I'm just doing this whole system reboot. And if you're doing that, then that is freaking awesome too. And I wish everyone lots of luck and best wishes for the year to come. Thanks. Bye.